Hi guys, Chris with North Texas Screw Compressors, and today I'm about to break the refrigeration internet. Hi guys, Chris with North Texas Screw Compressors. How y'all doing? I think today we're probably going to break the internet in the refrigeration world. One of the things that we commonly run into are C-phase compressors, flanged compressors that are bolted up, and the biggest problem we have with them is that sometimes they have alignment issues. And we hear a lot in the industry of like, you just put them together, you bolt them together, and you don't have to align them. What do you mean we have to align a C-phase? Well, there are a lot of things that go on that can affect the alignment of a C-phase once you remove a compressor or have done required maintenance of the motor or something else. One of the things you want to look at is a bent pin or a flat pin that's bent, okay? In this particular, we're going to be referring to the Frick SGCs or the RXF units. They have a flat pin, okay? And this little flat pin is on one side of the compressor, and it actually, they turn it to align the compressor. If you remove the pins on the C-phase, and this pin is altered, or bent, or has a ding or a dent in it, it will change the location of the tunnel. And it will change potentially the location of the compressor, and it will cause it to move or the motor to move. The other one is the round pin. Now this pin is on the other side. In earlier models, they had a solid round pin with no flat spot, and in newer models, they have this flat spot that's inside there. Now, you can bend these pins. It's not very easy, but when you're pulling one off, if you have more than 1/8 inch travel to 1/4 inch of travel, when you're taking it loose with the pin still engaged in the case, you can easily bend one of these pins. And when you bend one of these, you change the alignment. That's why we always tell people, check, put your dials on it and check the indication on it. A pin can be mushroomed on the end. During the installation or removal, when you drive with a hammer or a solid hard object like that, like a hammer or a chisel, it can have a tendency to flare the end. So when you put the pin back into its position, it can cause it. You can actually drive it too far, and that mushroomed end can actually wind up altering the compressor. If it's maybe mushroomed more on one side than another, and it will drive the case or the compressor or the C-phase or the motor, whatever's the weakest point, it's going to move that, and it's going to alter the alignment of the compressor. This is actually an old one. You got paint where it's at, but see, you can tell where this one got hit, where somebody was trying to remove it, and you can actually see on this end where it's mushroomed. We're probably going to take a picture and post it on there, but you can tell where it's been rubbing on the outer edge when it was put in, but in here in the center, you can see a low spot. That means that's swelled. That changes your alignment. There's a lot of people out there. I know there's some guys out there that think they're super tech. They've been doing this for 50 years. I'm a God's gift to refrigeration, and you don't have to align or check alignment on C-phase compressors. And I can tell you that right now, that probably 9 times out of 10, you're right. You don't have to check the C-phase on them. But it's better to check the C-phase to make sure that you have proper alignment on the compressor, rather than look like the fool later on when you're proven wrong. And there's been a lot of people that's been proven wrong on that. A bore can have a hot spot as well. When they drive the pin out of the compressor on that C-phase to do the maintenance on it, as this begins to go into the bore, the thing that they're using, that's why we like to use soft metal. We like to use like aluminum or like a brass punch. If we're doing it, we try to be as straight as possible. But if we come down, you can always come down and accidentally hit inside the case. Well, that'll create a low spot, but it'll also transfer into a high spot around the edges of the impact. And that will alter an alignment pin. If these pins are not placed back in their original position, that's another one. So let's say you have this flat spot on here, you take the pin out, rust will build underneath this flat spot, paint, overspray, things like that over time. And let's say, for instance, it was at the 6 o'clock position, and you rotate it to the 9 o'clock position, and now it runs over that paint, okay? Or it runs over that oxidation that was there for the 10 years, 15 years that compressor stayed in its position and ran. That can cause you to have that, will cause that pin to push up, cause it to get out of alignment. So You always want to check and put your chains on after you take a compressor or a motor off for service. You always want to put your dials on it to just check it. There's nothing wrong with just checking it. Because every once in a while, you have a problem. There was a compressor once that we built. The customer called us and says on the startup, all the bearings in the compressor were bad. This compressor had 13 bearings in it. There's no way 13 bearings go bad in the first 3 hours of runtime on a compressor, okay? So what we did when we said, hey, can you put a set of dials on there? You don't have to check C-phase. You don't have to check direct coupling. You don't have to do that. I said, can you just please put it on there? They wound up having to shim the motor in a half-moon position by 18 thousandths in order to realign the compressor back to the motor because of the design of it. So it does exist, absolutely. Paint on the C-phase, rust between the surfaces, oxidation happens over time. Let's say you take a compressor off and another builder or whatever, they paint over the C-phase area, but it originally was set up in the factory without the paint on it, and they painted over it. Well, gravity and paint will build up lower on the bottom than it does on the top, and you'll wind up with this kind of mating match, or like this, I'm sorry, where you had the motors kicked out a little bit. A few thousandths of paint does matter, especially if the compressor was set up on a marginal alignment from the factory anyway. Could be Friday. The guy's machining the case at the manufacturer, and when they machine the face of it, it's not 100% square, and that compressor's had problems for 17 years with shaft seals in it or something like that. Nobody informs anybody. We get them in here where the axle discharge faces are not correct. They have to be Blanchard ground because there's dips in them. The same thing happens to a C-face. When you disturb them, it's always best to come back. It's a good practice as a good technician, as someone who's knowledgeable in the industry, to go back and put a set of dials on it and just check it out and make sure before you start the thing up that you have a problem. That one compressor, whenever they checked the alignment on it, and after they put the shim in there, vibration came back, everything was great. Alignment is a big issue for your shaft seal, thrust bearings, and main bearing survival and the longevity of your compressor. It's always a good idea to check it and make sure that you don't get wound up with egg on your face. Improper tightening. So let's say, for instance, you don't follow the proper tightening sequences when it comes to putting it back together. You start tightening too much on one side versus over here, and the problem turns out that it just gets it out of position. Or you bolt it together and they begin to tighten it up, and they over tighten it before they set the pins back into position. Well, it doesn't realign the compressor. It actually just, the pin, once you torque it down too much, the pin won't align correctly. There's also factory specifications on how, when you put these compressors on, you have to do a weight. There's a procedure you can contact Frick, you can contact other companies that have these types of compressors, and they will tell you right now that they have these procedures that you can get downloaded to yourself or supplied to you on how to set these compressors back on the packages in accordance to their specification. Let's see. Pins can have high spots. We probably already covered that. Orientation, if you don't put this pin back where it's at, you will change the alignment. If it's not right, it's a plethora of things. It is always good practice removing or installing a motor or a compressor on a C-face to always check the alignment. I know this is probably going to create some problem with some guys out there who say that you don't have to do it. I'm telling you right now, it is a proven fact that you do have to check it. There is procedures for doing that. And there's procedures for how to set the compressor on the package correctly. So you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more information as we start handing it out. I'm God's gift to refrigeration. What? What are you talking about? You ain't got to line a C-face. That's why they bolt them straight together. Yeah, I'm the #1 super tech in the entire world. I ain't never heard of you having a shack alignment on the C-face. I'm God's gift to refrigeration. Hey, there's nothing wrong with my ear. I had an accident at the plant not that long ago. I am super tech. I want y'all to know that. I am the best. I don't take crap off the customer or my employer or anybody that has anything like that. So yeah, just ignore this side over here. I had an incident. I'm not allowed back there anymore, but it was an incident. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I'm Super Tech.
No, I'm the super tech.
What? I'm Super Tech.
No, I am. What are you talking about?
What are you doing?
Look at this card. I got that from being the best.
Boy, you fell on the playground. That's what you did. You fell on the playground. I told you I'm the best.
No, I'm the best. You're number 2.
No, you shut your mouth, boy.
Me?
Shut it, goddamn. Sorry. I didn't really hurt you there, did I?
No.
Okay. You think you know ammonia?
I do know one.
No, you don't. The only ammonia you ever smelled was when you cleaned the potty.
How would you know what it smells like?
Well, God dang it.
Who are you?
I'm the best.
What happened to the other guy that was there?
717, 717, I'm best.